Hello and welcome to Dr. Joe's Health and Sanity Call. I'm Dr. Joe, a wellness expert and professional speaker who helps busy people stay healthy, sane, and productive. For more information of how I can help you and your organization, visit drjoe.com, drjo.com. Hello, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Joe. I'm a professional speaker who helps busy people stay healthy, sane, and productive. And I started these daily calls to help you stay healthy, sane, and productive during these difficult times. There are so many things right now that we can't do. And so I wanted my message to be one of hope and positivity, to share with you that there are so many things that we can do right now. So welcome. I wanted to make a point today through a story. It's a story about August 15th, 1969. Do you know what date that is? It's a very famous music festival. Anybody want to guess? It's Woodstock. So I was too young to go to Woodstock. But at that point in my life, we lived not far from where the Woodstock Festival was. So even though I wasn't watching the news at that point, I heard a lot about hippies. Didn't know too much about where hippies came from and what the purpose was for everything they were doing. I just thought they were cool. I grew my hair long. I ripped and frayed my jeans just like the hippies. And I thought, someday I want to grow up and have a Volkswagen Bug just like those hippies. I don't know if you remember, perhaps you've seen pictures of it, Volkswagen Bugs that are covered with peace signs and these colorful flowers. And I just thought everybody had one of those, and I wanted one too. Well, as it turned out, when I became of age, driving age that is, my first car was a Volkswagen Bug. It's just that it didn't look anything like that Volkswagen Bug. See, Mom and Dad had 9 kids, and I was number 3. 9 kids within a 13-year period of time. So there were a lot of kids needing cars, and not for joyriding, mind you. We all had part-time jobs. We had to take the little kids to their dentist appointments or ball games or whatever. Some of us had to go off to college, so we needed those cars. So back then, Dad knew quite a lot about mechanics. That's what his dad did. And so he bought a lot of Volkswagen Bugs, and they were pretty interchangeable in terms of parts from year to year. So he bought a bunch of these that didn't work, or people gave it to him to get them off the property. And he would take out the non-working parts, put in a working part from another vehicle, and voila, he had a lot of working Volkswagen Bugs that he sold. And we kids got stuck with all the Volkswagen Bugs that didn't work so well. There was one that didn't have any heat. It doesn't sound bad if you live in Florida like I do right now, but this was upstate New York, and it got cold in the winter. And those cars are kind of drafty. So if I could pick, and it was always first come, first served, I didn't pick that car because it was too cold. You had to put the blanket on you the whole time. Then there was one that the latch on the driver's side didn't work very well, so you'd be driving down the road and the door would fly open. That was kind of dangerous. So Dad would permanently latch that door eventually, and in order to get in, you had to go in through the passenger side, so it was a little inconvenient. And then there was one that looked pretty darn good. So some of them were, well, multicolored because of the pieces that they had to put together. This one was baby blue everywhere and not too much rust. It was pretty nice. But you had to remember that the gas gauge, the fuel gauge, was permanently stuck on 3/4 full. So when you got into the car, you had to remember not to look at the fuel gauge. Instead, you go into the glove box, look at the little notepad, and hopefully somebody wrote down the mileage of the last fill up. That's what we were instructed to do. And from there, you knew you had about 200 miles to go before you ran out of gas. And if you didn't pay attention to that, well, you'd run out of gas. And this was long before cell phones. So you might be walking for miles, and when you get to the payphone, guess who you have to call? Not AAA. You had to call Dad. So anyway, that was still my favorite car. Now, why am I sharing with you this story of my Volkswagen Bug with the non-working fuel gauge? Well, see, many of us have a body kind of like that blue Volkswagen Bug with the non-working fuel gauge. Many of us don't even understand how the body works in terms of energy. When I say energy, I'm saying we need to put gas in the tank of that Volkswagen Bug. And you know what? We need fuel as well, not just to move this body, but we need fuel for our brain to process, for our heart to beat, for our lungs to breathe. We are constantly using fuel. And regardless of what Dunkin' Donuts has been telling you, have you seen their slogan, America runs on Dunkin'? We don't run on caffeine. That is just a stimulant drug. So what do we need to run this body physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? What do we need to run it on? Food. And yet so many of us don't think about that. In fact, I've had people tell me that they don't feel hunger, and yet they're overweight. So they're not obviously eating according to their body needs. I had this one guy share with me that he had really good energy all day long, but boy, at the end of the day, he was wiped out. He was on the couch and nothing could get him up off of that couch. And then when we talked about how he was eating, well, he was surviving all day on caffeine, a stimulant drug, along with the stress that deadlines and even the stress that we're going through right now can keep you feeling like you're energized, but you're not fueled. Do you know that about 2/3 of all the calories you need, and by the way, have you looked up the word calories in the dictionary? Yeah, look it up. It's a measurement of energy. In other words, as much as people think that calories are bad, calories are our fuel gauge, basically, right? So if we don't have enough calories, have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to eat? You were hungry, but maybe you were stuck out in the tarmac or in a long meeting or on a drive, stuck in traffic. You wanted to eat, but you couldn't. Do you remember how you felt? Tired, maybe? Stomach was growling? Maybe a little short-tempered? Get that hangry feeling? Even if you're in a meeting and you should be working, your attention is drifting. When we don't get enough fuel, we need it for beating our heart and our lungs and our brain to process, but some of those other things like thinking and focusing and concentrating, well, they go out the window. So when we don't get enough calories, it can affect our energy. And on the other hand, when we eat too many calories, well, we're not running around in circles with a lot of energy, are we? No, we're feeling sluggish and tired as well. So we really have to pay attention to how we fuel our body. If you go all day trying to survive on caffeine, a stimulant drug, or stress, which makes you feel like you have some energy, at the end of the day, when you are with the most important people, when you're with projects that you want to work on, not the employer's responsibilities, things you want to work on, well, then you don't have the energy that you need. So I wanted to share with you a reminder as you're going through these difficult times to not forget to fuel your body. This is so important on a regular day, but during these trying times, it is so important not to forget to fuel your body for energy. I think it's important to have breakfast. It doesn't have to be right when you wake up. Maybe the stomach starts feeling a little bit more like food at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever. Pay attention to that, because that is a sign that your body needs energy. Now, for those of you who are thinking, well, I got plenty of fat stores here, I'll just burn those off. Oh, come on. You know that doesn't work, right? What happens is if we get too hungry, eventually what happens? Well, we break down and we kind of eat everything in sight, right? I mean, that's how it happens. I see this all the time when people overeat. They think it's like I don't have willpower. And most of the time when I talk with them about what their habits are, usually they went too long without fueling the body in a proper way. So think about having breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Whether you have snacks, I think is up to you. Personally, I do best with snacks. I got into this field. I'm a registered dietitian. That was my first career, and I'm still a registered dietitian, but I don't practice as a registered dietitian. I'm more involved in the whole wellness arena. But still, I find it's important to have those snacks for me because of my prior history with an eating disorder. When I go too long without eating, look out, I'm going to overeat, and then it's going to negatively affect my energy. So during these difficult times, we need to keep our energy up. And again, reinforcing that it's not just about energy to move the body, energy to stay positive, energy to focus and concentrate on whatever those tasks are, especially those of you who are juggling work, and now you're a school teacher as well. You've got kids at home, or maybe you're a daycare provider because now your kids can't go to school and you're trying to take care of them with work. We really need our energy right now. Thank you all for coming, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed today's Health and Sanity Call, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others. For more information about how I can help you and your organization, visit drjo.com. That's just 4 letters, drjo.com.